Shemai friendly eye and welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin Anwin for anyone who's new here, and let's get back into building in Planet Zoo. This habitat build is going to be for the Caracal, and the Caracal has one special variation, and that is the Melanistic variation. So for this habitat I'm going to be adding in two very special Melanistic Caracals. It actually took me 2 hours to find them. But the whole concept of this habitat was around the black cats. Because as you might know, black cats are known to be bad luck in superstitions. And I'm going to be adding in little superstitions throughout the whole habitat to kind of tie in with the black cats are bad luck thing. To make my zoo look natural with its surroundings and to tie all of the different habitats together to create one cohesive zoo, I like to use the same types of trees and plants and bushes, all of the same foliage for the decorations around the zoo. You don't want big gaps in between the habitats with absolutely nothing. So if there are already trees placed on the map, maybe duplicate some of those trees and place them in some of the gaps to make everything feel more cohesive. So I've used the trees that were already placed down by my entrance building, and I placed some of those down around the gap between the fox habitat and the new caracal habitat, just to make everything feel like it belongs together. So it's not just a collection of habitats, but it's a nice cohesive zoo. And speaking of trying to make everything cohesive, I am actually going to be using some prefab. Not me using prefabs. I'm actually using a prefab for the structure or part of the structure in this habitat. If you don't already know, this zoo is a renovation of Castle Myers, and Castle Myers had these beautiful ruins around this area. Not quite where I placed them, I can't really remember. And I kind of wanted it to look like maybe these ruins were spread around this part of the zoo, just below the entrance building castle and next to the viaduct area. I kind of wanted this all to kind of connect together to make sure that this ruins looked similar to the rest of my builds. I've recolored all of the wall pieces and the stone pieces, which actually took a little bit more time than I expected. But having the same colours for the buildings can really help with the zoo looking natural and cohesive. Like having all of the same colours will make it feel more like it's actually meant to be an entire zoo rather than having a collection of habitats. Because I kind of find that sometimes if there's lots of different themes going on, it doesn't always feel like a cohesive zoo, and I have problems with that a lot because I love having all different themes and all different ideas for these different animals, and I tend to have animals from at least 2 different DLCs and base game in my zoos to make sure that it's kind of planned ahead, to make sure that I've got space and a good theme for all of these different animals, even though, you know, sometimes they don't quite make sense together. It will all fit in nicely together with the overall theme and same colour scheme throughout the whole zoo. And the Caracal has a climbing requirement. I don't know, most of the time I don't really like making specific climbing structures like what you see from the prefabs. I hardly ever use those unless I'm in a rush with scenario zoos. So to create something that is climbable and to tie it in with the ruins, I thought this could be a ruins reconstruction. So I've created scaffolding for the caracals to climb on. The ruins are currently under reconstruction, so there is scaffolding and like support structures to repair some of the ruins and to renovate them. And I really wanted the scaffolding to look kind of realistic. I did look at some diagrams. It showed like the different names of like the parts of the scaffolding, but it helped me build something slightly realistic so it looks more like a scaffolding structure rather than just some planks of wood with some support beams. And to make sure that it is accessible to be able to climb, I always go into the heat maps, which you can access using the H key on the keyboard. And climbing requirement is shown with green lines. So if you have a green line over the wood pieces, it will show that the animal can actually walk along that line or climb up that line, and then you can see that they can actually climb up that structure. But once I moved my climbing structures around a little bit, I did notice that only one set was actually traversable, but it does tie in with one of the superstitions I wanted to add in. Normally, to access scaffolding as a person, you need to climb a ladder, right? And it's also a superstition. Have you guessed the superstition talking about a ladder? Of course it is don't walk under ladders, especially leaning ones. You're not supposed to walk underneath them. Never a good idea to actually walk under a ladder anyway, but it is a superstition not to walk underneath a leaning ladder. And now that I have included the ladder, the caracal can actually climb a lot more on this scaffolding. And I want to include the ladder in something for the guests as well. So I wanted to play around with that a little bit. I didn't have the idea fully sorted in my mind at that point, but I wanted something to connect the habitat for the scaffolding and the guest experience, like education or something along those lines. So I made like an A-frame ladder as well. That was kind of easy though, just duplicating one ladder over, deleting most of the steps, and then creating a little flat area for you to stand on top of. For this little section here, I kind of wanted to make it look like it's part of the scaffolding, but also part of like a patch repair, like a quick repair, like, oh, these stones are crumbling, let's quickly put a plank of wood and some metal brace plates. I don't know. The only things I can reference is Grand Designs. I've watched way too much of that program that I'm just like, oh yeah, Kevin MacLeod watched someone do something similar to this, right? Kind of like more rushed. It hasn't quite been repaired quite yet, but it's kind of putting a plaster or a band-aid, however you want to call it, putting something quickly on it for now before it gets properly repaired. I was thinking a lot about like the melanistic cats, how much effort it took me to find these black cats. When people believe that they're bad luck and they tend to avoid them, they're the least adopted cat out of all of the cats from adoption agencies, and I just think that's really sad. They're such beautiful cats, and I don't think people should be like not having these cats and not adopting these cats. I don't know, I don't agree with it at all. And like, I've spent so much time and effort to find these melanistic caracals, and like I've really wanted black cats, and I think it's just kind of funny how like I've tried so hard to find one where people tend to avoid them. I find that really sad, but also kind of ironic of how hard I tried to find one where people avoid black cats because they believe they're like connected to witches, bad luck, I don't know, like a witch's familiar. I'm all up for that. I'll have a black cat. I will take any cat though, I love cats. Like, this is the renovation side of it. There's going to be a little bit of reconstruction with the scaffolding and trying to repair some of the ruins, but I also wanted a renovation part of it where maybe they want to create like a kind of greenhouse, but the greenhouse is still going to be under construction. nothing's going to be complete with this, which I think is just an extra fun way of building, because you don't normally build things purposely to not be fully complete, but that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. Like, this is halfway through the building phase. Kevin's only come like twice. If you've never watched Grand Designs, I don't think any of this will register. And now I'm removing some of the panel pieces. I'm removing them so it looks like they haven't been placed yet, if that makes sense. I want it to look like it's under construction, so not all of the glass panel pieces have been added in, and not all of the walls have been added in, but all of the metal structures have been placed in, like the framework has already been built. And this was kind of a little bit of fun for me. It gets rainy in the UK, of course, and if you want to keep your structure a little bit more watertight before you've finished construction, you'll usually put like a tarp over windows or roof pieces that have not quite been finished yet. So for the roof pieces and one of the panel pieces, I've placed some fabric down to look like tarp coverings. And tarps can come in all different colours, but I've seen blue the most. Blue and green, and I thought blue would be fun for the tarp on this greenhouse. Repairing the ruins a little bit, just to make it look like the scaffolding has been there for a reason. So having the scaffolding up over this window, it looks like some construction workers have come and repaired the one window for the ruins. The other side isn't going to be constructed yet and repaired yet, but this side a little bit more repaired. There's more scaffolding there. We've replaced some of the stonework and replaced the glass. I'm not saying superstitions are something that you shouldn't believe in. There's some that I definitely wouldn't do, even though I'm like, is it really bad luck? But I still wouldn't do it. This one is one I wouldn't do. I will not open an umbrella indoors. Even to check if it works, you do not open an umbrella indoors. Even if I was stood in the doorway, I would open the umbrella. Open the umbrella, like, out of the door. I would not be, no. I don't know, is it something, is it like impolite? Like wearing a hat indoors, or is it a superstition where it's just bad luck? But I wouldn't do it. So I've hung open umbrellas under the greenhouse. Like, that is definitely the most indoors of this habitat. And I also had a little bit of fun and added some extra colour into the build while looking at different superstitions for things that I could possibly add into this build. I actually saw that it is considered bad luck to have a vase of flowers with just red and white flowers in them. That might be a little bit relevant to any of you who received flowers for Valentine's Day yesterday, or have bought themselves flowers for Valentine's. Yes, Miley, we can buy ourselves flowers. Don't just put red and white flowers in a vase. I didn't know that. My favourite flowers are actually red flowers. They are red tulips. And to keep this build base game and Twilight pack only, and Grasslands, I guess, I'm using the classic flower bed flowers because they are flexi colour to add in different shades of red and white into the baskets. So that's a couple of superstitions that I found out. Are there any I've missed that you know of? It's not that you necessarily believe these superstitions. You could. There's no judgment here. You can totally believe in these superstitions. There's some that I personally won't do myself. Do you have a black cat? Oh my goodness, I wish YouTube comments allowed for images. Like, send me images of your black cats. If you have a Twitter and you want to show me your beautiful black cats, there will be a tweet about this speed build. And if you reply to that tweet showing me your black cat, I would thoroughly enjoy that and really appreciate it. And back to the A-frame ladder. I thought it would be fun to make this the education board frame. I get really creative with these education board frames. Sometimes I'll just use the same one throughout the whole zoo. I've got a couple of like my favourite ones that I've created myself. The tulips flower education board is one of my favourites, but sometimes I like to connect the education boards in with a specific theme for the habitat rather than a specific theme for a zoo, and it kind of forces the guests to walk under the ladder. Of course, like they're not going to know that it's a superstition, they're just going to want to look at the screen or listen to the speaker, but it kind of connects the superstitions together then. The pathway right at the back of the habitat was not the nicest looking. It was very bumpy because of the terraforming. I wanted to fix the path and also add in one last superstition for you, and that is no crossing on the staircase. I've had like friends in the past who have like looked at me silly because they've been like walking down the stairs and I wanted to go up, and I'll just stop and I'll wait. Like, you're good? And they're like, why did you stop? It's like, because it's bad luck to cross on the stairs. What do you mean? And the only time that's like kind of okay is if you are on the left and someone else is on the left, but you're walking up and they're walking down, and that's more of a thing that's like a school thing, I guess. I don't know. We had to walk on the left everywhere throughout school. I'm not sure whether it's still a thing, but I tend to just do it anyway. It's like polite, isn't it? When you walk on the side where you drive. It was really fun going through all of the different superstitions, and some that I could include in a build and some that I don't necessarily believe but I will follow. So if you've got any superstitions that I haven't mentioned, let me know in the comments, or if you believe in some of the superstitions that I've mentioned in this video, let me know in the comments as well. That is going to be it for this speed build. Aren't these black cats just adorable? I just want to give them the biggest snuggles, and I think if I did catch one of these cats, I would be harmed greatly. They are wild animals, but I just want to snuggle them because aren't they just so cute? Look at them climbing around and walking around their habitat. They love it, and I'm hoping they make little black kittens too. Did you have a nice Valentine's Day yesterday? If you celebrated? I'm very ace, so I did not. I just ate food how I wanted to eat food. I had the good stuff like chocolate, why not? And you know, self-love. Buy yourself flowers. Write your name in the sand. I've listened to that song too many times. TikTok, huh? You go on there to try and like post your own videos and you get lost on everyone else's. Gonna leave it off there though. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, and if you haven't already and you would like to, it would mean a lot to me if you could subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. I upload long form videos on Wednesdays and short form tutorials on Saturdays. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. All of my social medias are linked in the description. TikTok now has more followers than I have subscribers on YouTube. So like, if you've made it this far and you haven't subscribed, please. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!